Martin, Rob and I got it. The news, of course, came now like a day and a half ago, whatever it is, of Chris Paul, maybe, a little over 24 hours. But Rob and I got into the conversation of what this is. Chris Paul, they flew out to talk to him. They say it was a 3-hour conversation between he and Lawrence Frank, and they basically eventually found a way to part ways. Now, it gets complicated as far as the specificity of if he's off the team, can he get traded, can't get traded till December 15th. They're not releasing him yet, so he's just kind of off the team as we sit here. But we get some more news on this, Martin. You get to hear from finally Kawhi Leonard, who was shocked by this. He couldn't believe it. He said he had to reread it. James Harden, who said he was blown away by this, couldn't believe it, and didn't believe that this is actually what happened. But he said, here goes the franchise believing they're doing what's best for us. Tyronn Lue, which is a big one because the reports were, Martin, they had been talking for weeks, him and CP3. And that CP3 had wanted to have a meeting. Tyronn Lue was ignoring them. Next thing you know, we are where we are. So those are kind of the latest we get from star players, coach. But when I look at this, Martin, I look at this a couple of different ways. I talked a little bit about it yesterday with Rob. And the more I think about it, the more I view it like this. I brought up the fact that, look, Chris Paul can be somebody that's hard to get along with, that presses on you, grinds on you, that we've heard all the reports that he can wear on his teammates. We've seen it, right? We've seen it whether it was the Clippers. We've seen it with the Rockets. We've seen it with the Thunder. We've seen where he can be a lot to deal with because of how he plays, his approach off the court. He's always pressing the buttons. You need to be doing this. No, you need to be doing that. Screw with this person. Said we got to do that. That's kind of been the knock. Plus, even on the court, he's also been a person that has plays that rub people the wrong way, some dirty plays, some tough plays, whatever you want to call it. So I looked at it as a split 20-year career. First 10 years, could do no wrong, great commercials. He's the babyface assassin. Oh, we all felt bad he couldn't land with the Lakers when he had that trade. The second 10 years, been a little bit more people starting to say, well, he's not a winner. Well, he's a dirty player. So it's been an interesting, split career for him. But none of us really can question the pure talent at all. But I look at it this way, Martin. Do I believe that Chris Paul may have been a Clipper and now this stint and been a little tough, a little demanding, very vocal, maybe disgruntled at times, expectations through the roof? My answer is yes. Could that have rubbed his teammates, the organization, coaches, president of basketball the wrong way? Yes. But you know what I say? If you're a record label and you bring in Kanye West, you know you're going to get some crazy stunts. You know you're going to have to put out some fires. Everybody has that certain family member. All right, we love them. We bring them to the party, but Uncle Joe might get a little crazy, but that's family. And I say that to say the Clippers, he was literally a Clipper and maybe your biggest Clipper of all time. You know who he is. You know how he left. You know some of the issues with him and Blake, and I'm sure they patched things up, but you know who this guy is. You know the reputation. I'm not in the NBA. You're not in the NBA, and we've heard he's demanding. He's hard. He wants to win. He's a lot in the locker room. Why are you now shocked? Why is this a surprise? Why did you okay the farewell tour? Why did you bring it in to finish as a Clipper, who arguably your greatest Clipper, could be your first jersey up in the Intuit Dome, could maybe be the first Clipper with a statue with the Intuit Dome area in Inglewood? So I'm more shocked that, yes, I do believe he might have been tough, might have had expectations, but this has been him. Why are we shocked? Why is this a surprise? And how did we land here where now it's ending ugly? For him, this is all ruined, and it's also putting a spotlight on you all, the Clippers, because now we're saying this is fumbled. The whole Kawhi Leonard experiment's been a fumble. SGA is now a star that you traded with the Thunder. He's a champion and MVP, and they still got all those picks you gave up. It starts to make us reflect on Lob City, how Chris Paul also did not win, and that was a overrated team, ended up not doing anything, who underachieved, I should say.
Sure.
So now to me, you put the spotlight back on the organization as a whole, and the same thing I said yesterday, I'll end it with this, Martin. It just reminds us, through it all, Chris Paul's fault, their fault, everybody, all this, the Clippers gon' clip. And it's just a reminder. Because if I told you had Kawhi, Paul George, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Jamal Crawford, James Harden, if I didn't mention all these other players, and over about a 20, 25-year span, you'd have one Western Conference Finals appearance to show for all of that. That is just absolutely unacceptable.
See, I'm going at it actually from a different way. I think this has a lot more to say about and do about Chris Paul in this stage in his career than it does with the Clippers. And here's the reason why. the athletes are normally always the last person. The athlete is the last one to know he doesn't have it anymore. And I'm not saying that Chris Paul thinks he's still 25, but I think that Chris Paul, I think it came down like this. Because if the statement that Lawrence Frank made when they signed Chris Paul said he's joining us in the reserve point guard role and is excited to fill whatever role T. Lue asks him to play. He wants to be a part of the group. We're fortunate to have him back, right? It's only been 19 games, right, or something like that. It's only been a quarter of the season. Now, I think what all happened was you get into this situation. You see Bradley Beal, he's out for the year. You see the record, the team's out for the year essentially, right? They're not competing for anything. And a season in which they expected to be able to compete. You're not signing these guys in this way if you don't think you're going to be able to compete. And again, like you said, Clippers going to clip. I'm with you there. This is just throwing good money after bad, right, in terms of trying to reestablish or reinvigorate the Kawhi Leonard era, right? Even with adding James Harden, adding Chris Paul. The reality of this is, though, this to me seems, listen to the names that coach for the Clippers right now. Ty Lue, Jeff Van Gundy, Brian Shaw, Larry Drew. All four of those guys are guys that you know independently for knowing ball.
Yep.
What they didn't need is a fifth coach. And what they had right then is a fifth coach in Chris Paul. Because you're not competing on the floor, right? You're not being able to be competitive on the floor. And instead of being like a mentor-style guy to a lot of guys, I think he's actually in there pointing fingers and saying, we need to do this, we need to do that. This is why we're losing, instead of like, and I'm not knocking him. I prefer players that want to win. Let me be clear. However, if you were on a team, for example, like in the NFL, if you were on the Tennessee Titans today, right, and you're on the offense, and you're saying the reason why this team is only has one win on the year, 2 wins on the year, is because we're starting Cam Ward. Well, that's the plan, pal. That's just what the situation is. That's what we're going to do here. And if you can't get on board, then we're going to have to send you home. That's how this feels to me. And I get like the Clippers are absolutely horrible right now. I get CP3, Hall of Fame level player. Maybe he goes in as a Clipper, most likely goes in as a Clipper, right? Maybe a Hornet, depending on how he feels about all of it, right? But this is not a Disney movie, bro. You don't get to pick how this ends. The glorious moment when it all happens is after you're retired, when they call you back to the stadium, and then all Monty Bolaños and 39,000 of her closest friends will clap for you and cry for you and call you the greatest point guard that's never won. Right? That's the way it goes. It does. You don't get to have this on December 4th. Like, I don't understand what Kobe ruined all of this for everybody. Draymond said it to Paul Pierce. You're not Kobe, bro. You don't get your farewell tour. You don't get your farewell tour. And the reason why, Kelvin, I'll kick it back after this. Yep. The reason why Kobe got that farewell tour, God bless the dead, and I'm not knocking Kobe in any way, is because he stayed with the Lakers the whole time. Okay? It's because he stayed with the Lakers the whole time. That's why he was able to get that tour in that way. That's why Derek Jeter got his, because he stayed with the Yankees the whole time. So they had equity built up in those organizations. Those organizations were incentivized to make sure this ends in the right way. CP3 had some equity built up in the Clippers, but I think we all can say that this version of the Clippers is more nationally recognized. You know what I'm saying? Like, with Ballmer and the arena and just the innovations they have on the player side of things. The Clippers are not the laughingstock that they were of the Donald Sterling era that Chris Paul pulled them out of. So I get that, but they've taken a step above that. And to me, this would be like if Russell Westbrook signed with the Thunder and was expecting a farewell tour. It's like, buddy, we've moved on from you. We have no problem celebrating you, but we've moved on from you as a major part of this team.
The only thing is, you said, going back to what you just said there, Russell Westbrook, the difference is the Thunder would have brought him in. The Clippers brought him in. And so my whole thing is, there's no shock that he would want to be the fifth coach. He been coaching since he got in the league. Chris Paul been driving people crazy, being an extra coach, changing game plan, on people's heads. So again, to me, I can't be shocked when, like Chris Rock always said,
the scorpion and the frog. The scorpion is going to be the scorpion.
Exactly. Chris Rock said, talking about Siegfried and Freud, and he's, the whole tiger thing, the tiger guy. He said, that tiger go crazy, that tiger went tiger.
Right.
That's what a tiger is going to do.
Right.
And so Chris Paul, and I understand his, I'm sure he's heavy on them. I'm sure, dude, we're already going through injuries. We already are terrible. Fans aren't happy. We were trying to become really good. Maybe we made some bad deals. The last thing any of us want, you, me, Bree, Monty, when you know you're down bad, when you know you made mistakes, it's somebody on your neck telling you, oh, look at that. Why you do that? Can't believe you did that.
Well, also, too,
nobody wants that.
Kelvin, he thinks he can contribute, and he's probably not wrong. Like, he's not wrong in the short term, like in today.
Yeah.
Could I play today? Absolutely. I will make this team better today if I'm on the floor. However, that's not the plans of what the organization was, because you was assigned to be that. And everybody's got to play a role. And I think that's what the biggest problem is. That's why I say, like, those other organizations, look, like, Derek Jeter wasn't the best Yankee when he was on his retirement tour. Mm-hmm. Everybody was okay with what was going on. And if you weren't okay with what was going on, you weren't going to speak against Derek Jeter.
Right. And well, also to your equity point, Derek Jeter had what? 4 rings minimum? 5 maybe?
Right.
5, I think it is. So, and Kobe is 5 as well. So there is that equity of what, not only just I've been with the one team, I got a bunch of rings with the teams. And so it makes you have that, like, ooh, what we going to do? He means so much to the organization, to the city, to the community. And so Chris Paul, as you mentioned, had lost that. But all right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts. And while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share. Do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.